Chapter 1. Shadow of the Past. It was a hot August morning in 2025. As the capital city of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, was slowly waking up. President Ibrahim Traoré had just exited a secret dawn meeting. His face was stern. The documents before him showed staggering numbers. $23 billion. Already paid. But for what? Why? A $4 billion development loan from the World Bank had trapped the country in a web of interest for half a century. To Traoré, this was no longer just an economic issue. It was a matter of dignity. He recalled his childhood. His village had no electricity. Women walked for hours to fetch water. Fields were tilled by hand. Even then, he remembered hearing about the country's debt. Every government said the same thing. IMF ordered this. The World Bank imposed that. Yet the people remained the same, poor, indebted, and exhausted. Chapter 2. The Breaking Point. That morning, Traoré held a private meeting with his economic advisors. Documents, receipts, and loan contracts covered the table. A tense silence filled the room. Then Traoré spoke. We received a $4 billion development loan in 1975. To date, we've paid $23 billion in interest and payments. And it's still not over. This is unacceptable. One advisor, eyes gleaming, added, Sir, this isn't just us. Many African countries are in the same trap. Traoré slammed his fist on the table. Then let us be the first. We will end this exploitation system here. Chapter 3. Operation Time. The next day, Traoré summoned the World Bank director stationed in Burkina Faso to the palace. Before the director understood what was happening, he was surrounded by armored guards. Within hours, explosive news broke. Burkina Faso arrests World Bank official. The entire African continent, and the world, was glued to the headline. Western financial centers watched this bold move in shock. The IMF issued a formal statement. We are monitoring the legal process. But this time, Traoré wasn't going to back down. Chapter 4. Global reactions. Washington, Paris, London. Diplomats summoned Burkina Faso's ambassadors. International media branded Traoré as a dictator and accused him of authoritarianism. But the African people united under one hashtag. Hashtag Traoré's right. From Nigeria to Kenya, Senegal to South Africa, people flooded the streets. This wasn't just about Burkina Faso. It was a matter of continental pride. Protest signs read, No more exploitation. Africa has risen. Freedom, not debt. Traoré addressed the nation in a televised speech. We will not pay this debt, because we already did. And now, they owe us. 50 years of this nation's life was stolen. Now the thieves must answer. Chapter 5. The Ultimatum. Traoré gave the World Bank 24 hours, either repay the $23 billion, or I will convene an emergency summit of the African Union. This is not just Burkina Faso's fight. This is Africa's war for liberation. The African Union couldn't stay silent. Eritrea, Mali, Niger, and Chad voiced immediate support. Some leaders even flew to Ouagadougou. The streets erupted with cheers as crowds welcomed them. Chapter 6. The World Bank remained silent. No official response came. But behind closed doors, panic was setting in. The New York Times published a leaked memo. Traoré's actions could destabilize the global financial system. If other African nations make similar demands, this could spark a chain reaction. Meanwhile, Traoré signed a new executive order. All World Bank offices in Burkina Faso are hereby shut down. Their operations within our territory are banned. Chapter 7. Africa Awakens. The decision triggered a domino effect. Across the continent, countries followed suit. Angola, Zambia, Mozambique, Uganda, each announced temporary closures of World Bank offices. A wave of resistance had begun. In a street interview, an elderly woman said, For the first time, a leader is defending us. My son worked abroad for years, but every cent he sent home went to debt. No more. Chapter 8. A Message to the World. Traoré flew to New York to address the United Nations General Assembly. His words echoed through the chamber. What they call loans are nothing but modern colonization. But we are not slaves. We have our dignity, our past, and our future. If you truly want a just world, start by looking at the roots of injustice. The applause lasted several minutes. Some African delegates wept. Chapter 9. Unity against the economic noose. After the UN speech, Western nations discussed sanctions against Burkina Faso, disconnecting them from international banking systems, imposing trade embargoes, even removing them from SWIFT. But for the first time in history, the African Union issued a united declaration. Africa's debt has been repaid. Our continent's resources, labor, and sweat have been stolen for over a century. Now, a new Africa is being born, not through exploitation, but through justice. The AU announced a mutual defense and support package for Burkina Faso against any economic attacks. This was a direct challenge to the West. Chapter 10. The Debt-Free Africa Campaign. Returning home, Traoré launched a new initiative, Debt-Free Africa. It was both a political campaign and a public awakening. Meetings were held across the continent, at universities, in villages, in public squares. On social media, millions united under a single tag, #DebtFreeAfrica. What began as a strategy became a mass movement. In Nigeria, millions marched. In Ghana, citizens pressured their government. We want leaders like Traoré. The West was growing anxious. Chapter 11. Global attention turns to Africa. The Debt-Free Africa campaign became an international issue. Asian and Latin American media joined the coverage. China and Russia voiced support, criticizing Western financial coercion. China's foreign minister stated, "The World Bank's opaque policies have hurt not only Africa but many developing nations. Traoré's stance is an essential reckoning for the global system." Russia's president called Traoré directly. A Kremlin statement declared, "Africa's sovereignty struggle must be supported." But not all offers came without strings attached. Chapter 12. The Secret Offer. Late one night, Traoré's chief of staff burst into the room. "Sir, a private investment group from Geneva has sent a message. An anonymous consortium wants a private meeting." Traoré hesitated until one line caught his eye. "Leave the World Bank behind. Create your own. We can help." The meeting took place in Nairobi, between Traoré and 3 representatives. What followed would change African history. "We are ready to fund a new African investment bank." But Traoré narrowed his eyes. "But what?" "Our advisors would be part of the board." He leaned back, images of his people flashing through his mind. Farmers crushed by debt. Mothers who couldn't afford medicine. "No, we don't want new chains. Your offer is just colonization in disguise." Chapter 13. The Media Wars. After Traoré's rejection, Western media launched a fresh campaign. Headlines screamed, "A new Gaddafi. Authoritarianism returns to Africa." But the people didn't remain silent. Social media exploded. Millions shared Traoré speeches. Young Africans created a new slogan, #OurLeader. In a viral TikTok, a young Nigerian woman sobbed as she said, "Traoré taught us not to be afraid. We are not debt slaves. We are Africa." Chapter 14. The African Investment Forum. To counter the narrative, Traoré invited African leaders to a new summit in Ouagadougou, the African Investment Forum. His plan: 1. Create an Africa-based, Africa-funded independent investment bank. 2. Process African resources locally before exporting. 3. Trade between African nations using local currencies. 4. Launch new university programs on economic independence. The hall erupted in applause. Kenya's president said, "Traoré didn't just wake up Burkina Faso. He woke all of us. This is a call, and we will answer it." Chapter 15. The Big Retreat. After the forum, Western financial media began to shift tone, with African countries endorsing Traoré's ideas and cutting reliance on Western banking. Financial markets grew nervous. Wall Street Journal ran the headline, "An African earthquake in the global financial system." The French president gave a surprising statement. "We acknowledge past mistakes, A new era must begin. We are open to dialogue. It was a rare retreat. Chapter 16. The birth of an African bank. 3 months later, a historic signing took place in Accra, Ghana. Finance ministers from 23 countries signed a protocol to establish the African Investment and Solidarity Bank, AISB. Initial capital, 150 billion African units, AFU. A new currency independent of the dollar or euro. The bank's headquarters would be in Ouagadougou. Burkina Faso would lead. For the first 5 years, Traoré said, "Today, we are not just founding a bank. We are breaking chains. Our children will be born into a debt-free Africa." Chapter 17. Tremors in the markets. AISB's birth shook the global markets. Capital outflows from Africa caused stock market dips. Multinational corporations with African exposure saw their shares tumble. A UK financial report read, "This is not merely economic. It's a geopolitical rupture. Africa is no longer a passive market. It is an independent actor." Even skeptical economists admitted Africa may now use its resources more effectively in the long run. Chapter 18. Power of the people. Across Africa, the AISB's founding was celebrated like a festival. Music, dancing, and joy filled the streets. From Togo to South Africa, people marched with banners. "This bank is ours." Traoré is not alone. Africa has awakened. One farmer said, "My father died in debt. I will raise my son in a debt-free Africa." Chapter 19. A new vision for Africa. A month after AISB's founding, Traoré addressed the African Union Summit. His speech would later be called the New Africa Manifesto. "We do not ask for aid. We demand justice. We don't want charity. We want our dignity back. Africa is a rich continent. But first, we must believe in ourselves. Today, we did that. Next is education, technology, and unity." The room gave a standing ovation. Chapter 20. The beginning of a dream. One morning, Traoré stood on his palace balcony overlooking Ouagadougou. People were smiling in the streets. Youths painted slogans on walls, "Long live debt-free Africa." With misty eyes, he whispered, "This is only the beginning. The real struggle starts now." And indeed, it was. Africa had awakened, and no one could stop it.